What gear is best for new riders?
Hey Caleb, great question. Hi everyone, this is Rob from Intended Consequences. Today, we're looking at what gear a new rider should be thinking about purchasing before riding a motorcycle. We'll be taking a quick look at the types of gear, things to consider, and a few consumer tips. Hit the graphic. So as a new rider, you're going to want to have the appropriate gear when riding around a parking lot, small road, busy highway. And perhaps contrary to society's view, this gear is less about you looking awesome and more about your safety when you're riding. A common expression, although a bit cliche, is dress for the slide, not for the ride. In other words, wear gear with the mindset that if something bad were going to happen, you'd be as reasonably protected as possible. In the motorcycle community, there's an acronym, ATGAT, which is a means to remind you to wear all the gear all the time. I know acronyms are boring, but it is something you'll see and hear again when pursuing the ride. So you might as well get used to it now. But thankfully, gear has come such a long way that you don't have to necessarily sacrifice too much to have protective gear that is also comfortable. Speaking of comfort, make sure whatever gear you buy is comfortable. Studies have shown, time and time again, that riding gear all piled up in the corner of your closet will not do you any good on the road. If it's not comfortable, you're probably not going to wear it, so make sure it is comfortable. Do not settle for anything less. Another thing to think about is that riding gear is seasonal. Some gear is designed to help keep you cool in the hotter months, and then on the flip side of that coin, keep you warm in cooler months. You also see some all-season gear out there, but it's very hard to do effectively, so I recommend looking at hot and cold riding gear separately. Likewise, there's also rain gear out there to think about. Maybe on a hot summer afternoon, a brief rain shower can feel really refreshing, but on any other occasion, riding soaked is just cold. It is so cold. Now, obviously conditions vary based on where you live, so I'll leave those types of specifics up to you and in your capable hands. So let's get down to business and talk gear, starting with the most important, uncompromising piece of equipment, your helmet. Helmets come in a wide variety of types, but basically fall into the full face, 3/4, and half helmet varieties. If any of these helmets do not at least have a DOT or Department of Transportation sticker on the back, it is literally worthless. That's a novelty helmet and will not do you any good. The DOT sticker means that the helmet meets the Department of Transportation's testing standards for safety, and most state helmet laws require at a minimum a DOT certification. Now there's also some other types of certifications such as the Economic Commission for Europe, or ECE, or the Snell Memorial Foundation, aka Snell, and they have some higher testing standards than the DOT, but again, the DOT is the bare minimum to be legal and safe. As a new rider, these are the times when accidents are most likely to occur. So my recommendation is to take a look at full face helmets that will provide you the maximum amount of safety. If you suffer from claustrophobia when wearing a helmet, and that can happen, then I would recommend a modular helmet, so you can pop the faceplate open temporarily if you need to. And you don't need to get the most expensive helmet money can buy. Any helmet in the $200 to $300 range is going to be pretty comfortable, solid, and safe. Even more fragile than your head are your eyes. Most helmets come with some form of visor that can be flipped up and down to protect your eyes when riding, so you'd be forgiven in the thought that you don't need additional eye protection. However, you guys, you'll soon find that popping that visor open when riding, getting that air flowing into your face, feels pretty good. And at that moment, your eyes are going to be vulnerable to road debris, such as rocks, grass clippings, even bugs flying right at you. Heck, even a speck of dust at speed can cause harm. Regular sunglasses or reading glasses won't cut it either. You want to look at shatterproof and impact-resistant eyewear. And a decent pair of riding glasses aren't too expensive, so they won't break your bank. Another thing most riders don't think about is hearing protection. And it's not just the noise of the bike itself either. Wind noise, even in quiet helmets, can get rather loud over extended periods of time and start to cause damage to your ears. Now, thankfully, any form of earplugs will work, from the foamy, one-and-done disposable kind to the rubber, reusable variety. Now, you may think this would have a downside of preventing noise such as sirens and horns and stuff, but it really doesn't. Hearing protection is about protecting overpowering sounds, not all sounds. So you still hear everything, it's just at a safer volume. You know, I wear hearing protection and I can hear all the road sounds I need to hear. I can hear Corinne in our comms unit. And then when it's just me out there, I can even listen to my music just fine. So don't shy away from hearing protection. Riding jackets come in a wide variety and there's a lot of information out there. So I'm just gonna keep it simple by pointing you in the right direction of features you wanna look for. You wanna find something that has abrasion resistant material, so sliding across the ground. Armor for impacts and also some sliding. Water resistance for brief, light rain showers, and reflective parts so you can be visible to others. And I'd also recommend ventilation systems that you can open and close as needed, whether it's to warm up or cool down. And if you find a jacket with those features that's comfortable to wear, then go for it. Prices for jackets vary dramatically, but you can get a reasonable one between $100 and $200 without sacrificing too much. Gloves serve a variety of purposes when riding, so you'll want a sturdy pair. When your hands are wrapped around the handles, your knuckles are exposed to all manner of debris and bugs on the road, and even when you're wearing gloves, you're not going to miss getting smacked on the knuckles by something. On your palms, you're going to want to keep a firm grip on the controls, and you don't want to slip because of sweat or grime on either your hands or the controls themselves. Gloves take care of all that. Even more though, is when you're in an accident or just clumsily drop your bike, your hands are going to instinctively reach for the ground to brace yourself, and the padding on the inside of a glove will pay off at that point. Trust me. Oh. And a lot of advertisements for riding gloves are going to say that their material allows you to use the touchscreen on your phone, and that's fine, but listen, don't be touching your phone while riding, and I'm even talking to you too, experienced riders. 50 to 100 bucks on gloves is totally reasonable. Now, riding pants are probably the most overlooked or ignored type of riding gear. A lot of folks simply wear ordinary jeans. This can be a mistake as ordinary jeans offer no impact armor and shred very quickly sliding across the pavement. Contrary, riding pants are pretty stretchy or abrasion resistant, like what you want in a jacket, and usually have some sort of knee or other type of armor built in, although that's not always the case. If specifically designed riding pants aren't for you, there's also leather chaps, which have the advantage of being easy to take on and off before and after your ride. For a new rider, I'm going to recommend the riding pants. There are plenty of styles to choose from, and for around 100 bucks, you're not going to have any problems. Like pants, boots can be overlooked by a lot of new riders because you probably already own a pair of boots and figure they'll just work fine. Maybe. I'm not going to go nuts here, but the thing you should be looking for with any boot you're going to wear while riding is firm grip soles, ankle protection, and water resistance. When you're riding and you have to stop, your left foot, and I'm being specific for a reason, your left foot will touch the ground and the weight of your bike will shift to that foot. Without good traction, you could slip, fall down, and also your bike's going to come down on top of you. And if that happens, well, odds are your ankle's going to be what hits the ground first and likely get smashed between the ground and your bike. This is a lesson I've learned personally, so ankle protection is very important. Water resistance is to keep water from either the ground, like in a puddle, or rain coming from above, from soaking into your boot right away. This is more of a preference, but riding with wet socks, well, it stinks. And anyway, if you're willing to spend $100 on boots, you'll be just fine. Lastly, sunscreen. Even if you ATGAT, you will still have parts of your skin exposed to the sun. Maybe it's the top of your hands where there might be a space from the glove fastener, or maybe the space between your glove and the cuff of your jacket, or maybe even the back of your neck because of the shape of your helmet. And that's wearing all your gear. If you're cutting corners, you're even more exposed to the sun, probably on your arms, and there ain't a lot of consistent shade on the open road. So put on this sunscreen. All right, now let's bring this video home with some tips and things to remember. First, it's important to pay attention to what is motorcycle brand apparel and what is actually riding gear. There are plenty of cool jackets and gloves and shirts and all kinds of stuff with motorcycle brand logos on them, but these things offer no protection while riding. For example, there's jackets sold at Harley-Davidson. Some of them are just cool jackets, some of them are riding jackets. If you're unsure, ask a salesman or email the seller. My next point is gear can get expensive, so factor that into your new rider budget. But more expensive does not always equal more safety. It usually just means more comfort, which is why I offered a price range in my earlier descriptions to help give an idea on how much is enough to spend and still be safe but not break the bank. If you're strapped for money, there's a temptation to buy used gear, and well, that ain't so good. You can find deals from individual sellers on things, which you can then in turn inspect for damage, which is a little bit better than buying used. And you can probably purchase things like boots, gloves, pants, and even a jacket from an individual seller without too much worry. But do not ever buy a helmet from anyone other than an actual store. DOT stickers and other markings can be forged, and even if it isn't, you have no idea what the history of that helmet is and what it's been through, and your head is just way too important to take that risk. Speaking of buying gear, I would highly recommend all new riders to purchase their initial gear from shops they can visit in person. Yes, I know that generally speaking, better deals can be found online, but sizing riding gear can be tricky. When Corinne and I were starting out, we thought our regular sizes would translate well, and they did a little bit, even with online sizing charts, but we ended up sending gear back because it either didn't fit right or wasn't comfortable. And this was especially problematic with gloves and boots. When it came time to size for a helmet, we didn't take any chances with that. We visited an actual store, and I'm glad we did because the employees were able to help make sure we had a correct fit. You might have to pay a bit more for an in-store visit, but the payoff is you can walk out with the confidence that your gear fits correctly and is comfortable. All that being said, many online riding gear stores have video reviews of their gear, which can be very helpful when doing research, so make sure you're checking those out. And again, if the gear is not comfortable, keep shopping. Okay guys, I know I just threw a lot at you, but the good thing is you can use what you've learned today and have a foundation in expanding your research. Unlike my last video, where I shunned advice videos and articles, this time I'm going to go the other direction and encourage you to read and watch reviews on the different types of gear out there. I'd also like you to take away that it is possible to ride safely, wearing all your gear, and still be comfortable in nearly all conditions, and still look bad at the same time. Do the research, don't get too cheap, wear the gear. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And remember, keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you next time.